Closing is overrated. People always ask, how can I become a better closer? But the easier way is that you have to make them want it more, and if you make them want it more, then you have to close them less. The more they want the product, the less you have to close them, and the less they want it, the more you have to close them. You need to know how to close, but the real selling is done before the price, and this is done during the presentation. That's why there's two places you can sell them, before the price or after the price. Selling before the price makes them want to do it, and selling them after the price makes them do it. Selling after the price also causes more cancellations. In a traditional sense, you're closing when the money is out on the table and you're asking them to buy. The more they want it, the less the money is the issue, and the less they want it, the more the money is the issue. You could be a horrible closer, and at the end, if they want the product, they'll just say, look, instead of going through all this, can we just write it up? Or you could be the best closer in the world, and if they don't want it and think it's worth it, they won't buy. You might be able to make them buy, but they'll cancel the next day. So if you're struggling with closing, the first thing I would look at is how good your sales presentation is, i.e., how bad it makes them want it. Whether you're selling HVAC, roofing, windows, kitchens, bathrooms, or gutter guards, the easiest way to check that they want it is with some type of pre-close commitment. This is done after you're done selling and about to get into the pricing. It's usually some variation of, so if this is affordable, is this definitely what you want? Then be sure to reinforce the commitment they give you by asking them why. Why is a great statement to use because they have to reinforce their commitment, and the answer they give you also tells you how strong and real the commitment is. You can make people say anything, but if they don't mean it, it won't mean anything. For example, if you say, is this the HVAC system you definitely want to put in your home? And they say yes. And then you say, well, why would that be? And the only thing they say is, well, I like the color. You might be in trouble. But if they say, because I can see this would save me money on my energy bills, and I like the warranties and how you install it, then you're in better shape. If they don't want the product and don't give you a strong commitment, then you really aren't in a position to close them, and you really don't have the right to ask them for the order. Any professional salesperson shouldn't be asking someone to buy unless they want it and can afford it. Now, once you've done that and you feel that you've gotten a strong and real commitment from them, then the essence of closing is that all you're doing is really just helping the customer get what they told you that they definitely wanted. So normally, once you get a commitment and you deliver the price and you explain what sales or discounts you have and what the payment options are, all closes start with you usually asking them to buy. The most common technique is that once they commit to the product they want, then you explain the payment options, whether it's cash or finance, and have them pick how they would pay. If they say I'd rather finance it, most people then assume the order by saying, well, the next step then is for you to fill out a credit app and we'll get you started. Or if they're paying cash, you say the next step is to get your credit card or write a check and then we'll get you started. This is where the closing usually starts. A key part of closing is understanding that if somebody wants something, they think it's worth it, and they can afford it, then they buy. If you can get them to internally answer yes to those three questions, they usually buy pretty easily. If the answer to any of these questions is no, then they won't buy. Think about any purchase you make. You answered yes to these questions. There's nothing else. Any purchase you make fits this. You want it, you think it's worth it, and you can afford it. Now, where you make them want it and get them to see that it's worth the price is in the sales presentation or before you deliver the price. So by extension, where you make it affordable to them is in the close or after the price. It's very rare that you give them the price, explain how to pay for it, assume the order, and they just say, yes, write it up. If you have a good sales presentation, this will happen occasionally, but it's not common. When the close first starts, the first words out of their mouth is usually not yes. The more common scenario is they usually start with some type of excuse such as, we'll have to think about it, or give me some time, and then you start the closing process to get them to buy from you. Based on what we've been discussing, if you've done your presentation correctly, in most cases the real objection should just be the money. Look at it this way, if your product was $10, how many people would buy? Now hopefully you said all of them. So if you know the objection is really based on the money, and if you've done it correctly, the money is just whether they can afford it, the first thing you have to do in a close is to isolate the objection to the money. In other words, narrow everything down the customer said to get them to agree that the real issue is just the price and not the product. There are no other issues. I'm sure you've heard people say you need to bring it to the money in the close or isolate the objection to the money. You do this when at one point in the close you can say, so other than the money, is this something you definitely want? Once you isolate the objection to the money, then all you have to do is handle that, and they should buy. If you're interested, see the link below for a video I made on what to do once you isolate the objection to the money, how to handle that, and a big mistake to look out for there. You don't have to know 50 closes, just one or two very well. Ultimately, the main purpose of most closes is to isolate the objection to the money. The closes need to be rehearsed, just like how you rehearse explaining the company or selling your product. The thing unique about our business is that you already know what the objections are going to be at the end. It's always the same things. They need to think about it, they need to shop around, or it's too much money. If you do this for a living, there's no reason you shouldn't be rehearsed and prepared. I could understand if every day they told you something different, like, I never buy when the moon is in Aquarius, or I can't buy because my psychic told me this is a bad thing to do. In our business, you know what they're going to say, and there's no excuse you're not ready. It's like being a prize fighter where you go in the ring and you know that every day they're going to start with a left hook, and yet every day you're not ready and they knock you out. You need to be prepared and ready to handle the left hook. If you're truly in the game, I should be able to say, I need to think about it. Go. Or I want to get 3 estimates. Go. Or it's too much money. Go. And you're able to handle these quickly and effectively. Take the time to learn how to handle to be good at these. Once you do, your sales and income will skyrocket. Remember, it's only your life.